Rain, yeah, she said a lot in there. All that bio stuff, I don't like it. So I just say copy and paste off my website and say it's hard sometimes just to talk about yourself. But I really appreciate this opportunity to stand up and present to you today on the subject of fatherhood. And I work with a lot of fathers in the Flint area. I worked for many of years in the prison system, and that's where my burden for fatherhood began. Working in the Department of Corrections, seeing so many males coming through that system, and the one commonality that most of them had, not all, but most of them had, was that they grew up in a house without a father, or they were raised by their grandparents, things of that nature. So it really became a burden on my heart, and that's what started me to write a book. In this book, it just started out as just program, just things that I was offering to the males there, saying, instead of me just being a part of it, let's try to make something happen. What can I do? So I just began to do different teachings, and then in turn, people wanted the teachings. They say, hey, let me see your program. I'm like, what program? I am the program. I just come up with a topic, and we just go after it. But over time, I then put all of the collaborative or the efforts and all of the information that I gathered, I then put it inside of this book. And it's called Man to Man, and I use it. Local schools are using it. The prisons is using it. Different organizations is using the program. We have a teacher's manual as well as a student's manual. So this is something that you can look at when this is over. And more of the information is on my website as well, seanhart.com. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about today is about knowing who you are. And I want to have dialogue because this is a huge issue for me, talking on the subject of knowing who you are. Most of the time, if you ask somebody who they are, how do you think most people respond? Just a question. If you ask somebody who they are, how do you think they respond?
Their job.
With their job, absolutely.
What they do.
What they do. Anybody else?
Where they're from.
Where they're from. Absolutely. Most people, that's the first thing that they do. They want to describe what they do. Because a lot of times, why do you think that they want to describe what they do? Why do you think they want to talk about what they do for a living?
It defines who they are.
It defines who they...
It's impressive.
Is what?
It's impressive.
It's impressive.
People don't know who they are outside of those things.
Absolutely. What do you do? What do you do? Absolutely. You're a student, but and that's one of the biggest things that people will straight up begin to talk about what they do for validation, because they want people to respect them. They want people to look at them in a certain light. I remember growing up, man, I played football since I was 7 years old. And whenever I introduced myself, until I got done playing football here at Michigan State, I found so many ways to get us to dialogue, to communicate, because I just couldn't wait for the moment to tell you that I played at Michigan State. I had to find a way, man, they're not opening up these doors for us to tell them that path, because I needed that validation. In so many ways, man, every day of our life, we are constantly confronted with who we are. Constantly. Whenever obstacles come up, who we are is going to be revealed. So I want to ask, does anybody feel comfortable with describing, if somebody say, who are you? Can you say who you are? My brother?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I kind of cheated because I had this conversation with a brother yesterday.
Oh, you cheated, huh?
Yeah, but I would have to say I'm just a servant, man. Here to try to change the world. That's all.
Okay.
Servant is one word.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Just for you stepping out. What size you in, man?
Large.
Large? Here you go.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Anybody else? Who are you? I'm going to call on you. Come on now.
I always begin in what I believe. I always I'm a Christian and I'm a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I. Because for me that's beginning so on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Anybody else? We got to get one more person now.
When people ask me who I am,
Mm-hmm.
I let them know that I am Jim. And that's who I am. I'm Jim. And what that means is I'm a father. I'm an ordinary guy. I have a career and a family.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm all about.
That's good, man. You know, I tell you, somebody else raised their hand before we go, right here.
Oftentimes I say that I'm different, I'm unique, and then I said that I'm a student, and then I said that I'm an older brother.
Yeah.
The order that I try to keep it.
Yeah. You know, I tell you, man, I deal with so many people. And in a lot of my small groups that I deal with, I don't care how young or how old, the commonality for most of the people in my group, they don't know who they are. That's huge. That's huge. We have grown men, 50, 60, 70 years old, who raised a family, who raised their children to where they're adults, who didn't know who they were. So how can I teach my 5-year-old, my 8-year-old, my 13-year-old if they daddy don't know who he is? Because all I'm going to do is give out of what I've been exposed to and what I think I am. How many people heard the cliche? Sticks and stones may break your bones, but what? But names would. Come on, how many people know that was a lie? Come on, man. We know it. We came up with that. It sounded good while we was right then and there. But those words stuck, man. When we left them, they stuck, and we were stuck with it. Like, you know, am I really that person? Am I really bummy? Am I really stupid? Do I really have ADHD? Do I really have all of these different things that society has placed upon? Because we know there's life and not just words, but when your parents named you, that name came with an identity. Names define you. Names define us. So we're looking at homes where we see fathers, man, who broken, who don't know who they are. That's why many of them run to the bottle. Why they run to womanizing. It was 1991. I sat on my porch. I'm from Jersey. I was sitting on my porch, man, and growing up, I didn't get a lot of validation. I didn't. The girls didn't want your boy. They didn't want me. You know, I just didn't have the cool clothes. I just wasn't that dude. So finally, sports started opening up some doors. So it's 1991, I'm sitting on my porch, and I've always been smaller than everybody else, man. And I'm sitting on the porch, man, and I'm starting to get these letters from major universities. And these letters coming in, and my father never validated your boy. So guess what, man? Here's an opportunity for my dad to say, son, I'm proud of you. Man, I was sitting on the porch, man, and I got my first letter, and it was University of Tennessee. I just couldn't wait, and I'm sitting there just like waiting and waiting. And finally he pull up in his little brown Cadillac, one of them long boys, velvet seats. I just could not wait. Summer 1991. He pop out, and I'm just like, Dad. I didn't call him Dad. I take that back. Called him Nate. See, we couldn't call him Dad because he had a family on the other side of the town. So I had to call him Nate, had to call him by his name. The other family, they called him Dad, but we couldn't. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he pulled up in that Cadillac, and I pull out this letter, and I'm like, yo, look, I got a letter. I got a letter from, University of Tennessee. You know what he said? You too small. You can't go there. Whoa. Whoa. So here's the opportunity for my dad to begin to bond and validate me. And I talked to him, and I talked about that to him. He had amnesia. He don't remember that. But I remember. It scarred me. It scarred me. So when I left his presence, man, I still didn't know who I was. So when he said that, it penetrated like no other. So I just began to live my life. So football became part of my identity. Like, if you're not going to validate me, homeboy, these newspapers, the coaches, all these people are going to validate me. Remember, age 7, played. Football validating me, giving me honor, giving me respect, people wanting to be around me, all American, the whole nine. So now that my name is out there, so my dad, he says, he want to get to a place where now he want to change my last name from Hart to Burns. Come on, man. You crazy? You ain't changing my last name now. It's a wrap. No, we're not going to do that. So, but I was going to say it to him because I was still afraid of it. So I told my mom, like, I don't want to change my name. Please don't let me change my name. She's like, I got you. So no, my name would have been Sean Burns. That don't even sound right. Sean Burns, Sean Hart. See, that sounds better, Sean Hart. So I wouldn't change my last name. So now he want to start coming around, and being a part of it because now starting to get out there. So fast forward, I come to Michigan State. Before I come to Michigan State, let me say this. How many people heard of the rites of passage? We heard that? Man, that rites of passage is a beast. So here was my rites of passage. My father, he start really like coming around wanting to be engaged. So he takes me to eat, man. Before we get to Michigan State, he takes me to eat. And what happens is, he said, before you go to school, I just want to tell you a couple things. And I'm like, man, here's that moment. Here's that moment. I remember the restaurant, too. It was at the Meadows Diner. We were sitting at the booth, just he and I. And he said, man, two things. I'm telling you, this is what my daddy told me. He said, you have as much sex that you can, and you bring home a white girl. That was my rites of passage. My daddy told me to have as much sex as I can and bring home a white girl. Now, let me help you out. Remember when you were small, when you was a kid? And, we always say that the teacher was jacked up. That teacher doing this and doing that. But, it was a time in there where your parents to you could say this and you say that. Like, hold up, man. You mean to tell me you giving me some authority to talk back to the teacher that she say something, I can say something back. So now you go to school, you waiting for the teacher to say something. My mama said, you just couldn't wait because you have the authority because your mama gave you the authority. So here my daddy gave me authority to go to Michigan State and hit anything that moves and bring home a white woman. Because I wanted his validation anyway, so now my father gave me the permission to do it. So here at Michigan State, I was reckless. I didn't know who I was, so I was reckless. Just like most men who don't know who they are, leading households, reckless, because they don't know who they are. So I get to Michigan State. Watch this. I started as a sophomore, right? So they fire one coach, they bring in Coach Saban. So here, I'm supposed to get, this is my time to shine. But what happens, Coach Saban comes in and he says, Sean, I don't know if you're going to be able to start for me. Why? I'm penciled in to start. Watch what he said. You're too small. Where did I go back to? What my dad said. I was unhealthy. Those words rang up again in my head. Sean, you too small. What that said is, Sean, you're not good enough. Sean, you can't do this. And Sean, you can't do that. So now I don't know who I am, man. So fast forward, I became reckless again and self-sabotage and began to blame everything on everybody else because I didn't know who I was. I remember I was playing the game with my boy Remy. How many people remember Nintendo? Remember that? Remember there's two buttons on that? Anybody remember those two buttons? Come on, you gotta help me out. Was the power button? What was the other one? Reset, man. I'm telling you, boy, y'all good. Good class. So me and my boy playing, so I'm gonna show you how things become a habit when you surround yourself with certain things. So we playing Nintendo. I was the only one on the block who had the Nintendo. We was playing Tecmo Bowl. Remember that? So I used to smash him all the time playing Tecmo Bowl. And eventually Remy started closing that gap. I'm like, how's this dude closing the gap? He don't own the game. There's no way he should be closing the gap. So I found out that his mama went and bought him the game. So now I'm like, oh, that's why you getting better. You don't lie, Joker. So what your boy started doing, man, because he started closing that gap, when I started to lose, game wasn't over, what you think I did? I hit that reset button, boy. You ain't win, so I hit the reset button. So fast forward, you too small. It became a way of life. I didn't know who I was. So when he challenged me, what did I do in life? I hit the reset button. So every time it got difficult, I hit the reset button. And so many fathers and so many males that you service, that you may be married to, that you submitted to, that you walk side by side with every day, may be a broken man who hit reset after reset after reset after reset. And you yourself may be somebody who hit the reset. But we have to come to a place to where we say, I got to discover who I am. Because if I don't know who I am, I can't raise my children right. I can't direct my daughter. I can't direct my son. I can't teach him how to be a man. So the people that you service, it's important. We can give them all the resources that we want. We can provide resources. We can have little small groups. We can give him a job. But he's still broken at his job. So when his employer responds to him and give him a directive, he's responding out of pain. Because there's unresolved issues. So I hit reset button because I didn't know who I was. And that's the reality. I don't care how wealthy. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're green. I don't care. That's one thing that we all have to come to grips with. We can be extremely successful, but still don't know who we are. We have to go with, I do this for a living. I do that. I make this for a living. I drive this kind of car. Why? Because that validates. Football was my validation, and when it was taken from me, I was left with myself, not knowing who I was. I couldn't say I play football anymore. And just me going around trying to spark up conversation. I used to play football back in 1993. Like, dude, you old as heck, man. Like really? You living off for that? Like, really? You still talking about that? Like, you don't have anything new, anything outside of football? Really? You still want to talk about that? Really? Like, Sean, like, who are you, man? Who are you? Who are you? And I was backed in the corner, man, not knowing who I was. Not knowing who I was, and I ran into more and more men just asking, man, who are you? I just went on this little journey, like asking grown men, like, who are you? And they just like, what you mean? What are you talking about? Like, what I do? No, I didn't ask you that. I just said, who are you? I'm not trying to front. Like, who are you? And they couldn't say who they were. And there's certain things, man, that in servicing these people, we have to help them discover who they are, because we will be out of place. We will be chasing dreams. We'll be chasing all of these empty things to validate us because we don't know who we are. We just be like just broken, and we start out crippled and just become grown men that are crippled and just broken. And I talked to a inmate not too long ago, and he cried because it was time for him to leave. He didn't want to leave prison because he'd been in prison since he was 17 years old, and now he's 60. 60 years old. His whole life was prison. One man was crying because he had to leave, and another young man was crying because he had to stay. The old man just like, I don't want to leave. And why I call myself a gold digger, because it's easy to look at people who's all jacked up, and we can all point out their flaws. But what's harder is to see the gold that's in people who doesn't feel like gold is on the inside of them. It's your job, it's my job to discover that gold and bring it out of them, and to service these people, because they are broken men, and we need to bring that gold out of them. Whatever role, whatever our assignment, whatever position we play is extremely important. So there's a couple things that I had to do, and I'm not saying they're the end all be all, but there's a couple things that I had to discover to answer these questions, to discover who I was. And the first one was I needed to know where I came from. I didn't know where I came from. Because if you don't know where you come from, it's hard to move forward. And I may not be able to go back, super, super far, but I need to go back as far as I can to get some answers. And then I found out that my daddy, that his dad was a pimp out of New York. Found out my mom's dad, he was a chef. They never talked about them. But then I see why my mother loves to cook. And I see now why my dad never was, engaging. I see now why he did what he did. I needed to know where was the group? Where did I come from? Who was I connected to? And then I need to find out, why am I here? Like why am I here? I know it wasn't just to play football. I know it was more than that. Someone asks you, why are you here?
You're educated, you learn, you grow.
Okay.
Continue to figure out what I want to do.
Absolutely. Why are you here?
I mean, in this class?
No, this why are you here on the earth? Why are you here?
You know,
Why you and not somebody else? Why you? Because you got to think about it. You can be dead and gone. You done been through so much, and you still here. Why are you here?
my gut tells me to be a great dad to my son. There's just a huge bond, instant connection.
Parent and a good spouse, and then also I want to work towards accomplishing my goals.
Thank you.
Sean, I'm here to help other people achieve their goals, find their purpose, and understand their cultural heritage.
Absolutely. Good stuff. My brother?
Inspire, speak life, help people transition, alter lives, rescue.
That's good.
I think I'm here to help people and to work hard, to be a good mother. I guess I would say the same, maybe just, I feel like being a good mother, a good wife, just trying to help people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I like to do. I always try to help people. So.
I always say to lead by example, to be a positive influence for others, but just to lead, to be a trailblazer. That's a new term I've been toying with lately. Be a trailblazer.
Yeah.
It's just I'm here to create an impact. Honestly, I might say I'm a growing man, and had really a terrible experience when I'm not born here, when I was growing as a child. And I think I had questions, but I could not find answers.
It's extremely important, because we all have different paths. We have all different assignments in the earth. But it begins with, knowing who you are. Because when we know who we are, when distractions come, we like, that ain't me. I have no reason to even engage in that, because that's probably who I used to be. But that's not me anymore. I had a real problem, and I knew that one of the things I had to do, I was going through this self-assessment, because I no longer wanted to be broken. I no longer wanted to be in that. Like, how can you help other people, man? You still broken, homeboy. Like, how can you really give of your all and you so broken? You a mess. You live in two different lives. So what I need to do, I had to come face to face with myself and do a self-assessment. And I had to realize, like, brother, you really battling with those scars, those darts that hit you early on, made you start feeling some type of way about yourself, that low self-esteem. You didn't think you had low self-esteem, but yes, you did, man. You had low self-esteem. You didn't think you was worthy. You didn't know you was a king. You didn't know you was a priest. You didn't know you was the head. You didn't know you was amazing. I didn't know those things. So when I seen other brothers that looked like me, that was, my hue, my tone, and they was doing well, boy, I was a hater. I was a hater. Nobody didn't know I was a hater. Nobody know. I had a clothing store, and I was making a lot of money, close to $1 million a year. But you know what? But I still didn't value myself. I didn't know who I was. So anybody else who was at my same level or doing better, man, I was hating on. And I used to justify. I justify, oh, he must sell dope. Oh, his mom gave it to him. Oh, he inherited. To make myself feel better. But if they was white, if they was older, if it was a lady, oh, I didn't care. It's like, oh, yeah, they could have that. But if it was another brother that looked like me, I was hating on him because I didn't love myself. And I say he didn't deserve that. No, why I say he didn't deserve it? Because I didn't think I deserved it. Just imagine raising a family like that. And then we respond out of anger. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. We do that because we're looking at ourselves. Why are you quitting? Because you're a quitter, homeboy. That's why they quitting. That's why they don't stick to it. Because you kept hitting the reset button and you didn't finish it. So if you don't want them to hit that reset button, you got to speak out of authenticity. Not just from head knowledge, not from by somebody else's story. We got to fix them, help them discover, do self-assessments. So I had a real bad problem. So what I had to do, and I'm not telling anybody to do this, but this is what I had to do for my passage, for my coming out. What I did, I had to go to my wife, man. And I said, you know what? You're married to a hater. You're married to somebody who's full of jealousy. You're married to somebody who is battling insecurities. And I'm not being the husband that you deserve. I'm not giving you my all. So when I'm up and you're asleep and I'm watching porn all night, while you're asleep, I'm not giving you my. See, I'm just talking about me. I had to come to a place where I said, I want it all gone because I want you to have 100% shine heart. I need you to love me for who I am, and I need to love you for who you are, and I need you to help me. Because I don't want to remain broken. So instead of her saying, ooh, you nasty, she said, let's pray. One of the biggest things that you need to know what you believe. I had to discover what I believe. Not everybody's going to believe in God. But I need to know what I believe. I need to know if there's a higher power. I need to know if there's somebody I need to submit myself to and come to a place to where, whatever it is what it is. The other thing is, what are my morals and values? I had to come up with that. What are my morals and values? These are things I had to, really look at myself like, man, you're a manipulator, homeboy. You're a manipulator. You know how to manipulate. I was really good when I was in, elementary. Man, some of y'all, they, my stomach hurt. I can't go to school today. No, I was good. Boy, my tears would be coming down. They was flowing. So you believe that I was sick? Like, oh man, you all jacked up. I was good. I didn't have to take a little water and put there. No, I was good. So I learned how to manipulate. One of the biggest things I had to come in contact with was, my strengths and my weaknesses. See, we like to, be strong in our strengths, but what about those weaknesses, those flaws? And I'm not saying you stay there to criticize yourself or get them to criticize, but it's like I need to know what my strengths and weaknesses are. What's my kryptonite? What's my kryptonite? And my strengths, what can I build on? Because it's easy. Some of us, that all we can see is the negative. Maybe we need to start looking at, well, what do I bring? What do I have? What can I offer to start this journey? And these are things that I didn't know. All I thought was that I just could play football. I didn't know that I could encourage. I didn't know that I knew how to love and just listen. Especially working in the prison, you work with all type of faiths. Wiccan and Muslim, different types of Muslim. I didn't know there were so many different type of Islamic faiths. All forms of Christianity. And here I'm a Christian. So, Sean, can you serve people who don't believe what you believe? And that was something I had to come to grips with. Yes, I can serve. Why? Because I was placed here to serve. Regardless of your religious affiliation. Regardless if you're a Wiccan. I need to love you regardless. You know what? You know why I honored all people? Black, white, homosexual, Muslim, Christian. You know why I honor them? Because I'm honorable. You know why you honor people? Because you're honorable. That's why we can honor all people. It's because if you're an honorable person, you can honor anybody. And that needs to be our position, especially when we're working with men leading a household. So I went to my little man-to-man group, and we sitting there, and I'm talking. I know I'm already wrong. I'm wrong, but I just wanted to hold myself accountable, man. And I'm just like, this is what I did, and they all looking at me like, man, you crazy. You need to go home and fix that. So I had to go home, and I had to say, baby, I'm sorry. I jacked up. You didn't deserve that. Absolutely not. And her daughter, her sister, and her brother from afar off seeing it all unfold. So no telling what they're thinking about that. So I had to go and, baby, I'm sorry. I jacked up, man. Understand this. I'm not talking about a testimony of 50 years ago. You know how we like to talk about those things that happened a long time. I'm talking about probably about good between 3 and 6 months. Yeah, this is fresh. So I'm still learning, still navigating, still unearthing those things that still lying dormant that should not be there. But like when it arrives, oh, I didn't know you was there. Let's get that going. We didn't say it was easy. We didn't. No, self-assessment. Is a real self-assessment. Not one of those those real self-assessment. We did this little family thing, man, and it was rough, boy. It was some years ago, but we sat around in a circle, and you had to write down what you see about the other person. Ooh, you talk about gruesome. Like, who are you talking? That ain't me. I am patient. I am caring. But the problem was I was lovable and patient and caring to everybody outside of the house. I put on my uniform. I put on my actor's clothes. And I began to go in the community and perform. Academy Award. You are phenomenal, man. And then you get women who see a mirage and say, man, I wish I was married to him. She better not slip up. I want him. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. But many of us spend time performing, putting all these different things and not being authentic, being the same person in the house as we are in the community. So I want to end with this, hearing from you as what will you commit to make a difference in your family's life, in the lives of somebody else?
I continue self-assessment. Just being aware of my strengths and undeveloped strengths, if you will.
What would you commit to others?
My time, servanthood.
Okay.
Be more patient with myself.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to spend saying more patient because my patience is like, and my kids like, my freshman and my senior this year, she's like, oh my God. But yeah, more patient.
Yeah. it's important, man, to help them discover through that. You know, because I grew up in the day and age where you got spanked for everything. But you know that the spanking wasn't for everything. There was times when my daughter deserved a spanking, and I didn't even spank her. Like, what? You're not going? No. Right now you need love. Right now you need guidance. You need direction. It's easy to spank.
I think it's time and service according to my commitment, our community.
That's good.
I'll say that individually, I feel like I need to dig out more insecurities and like really look at them. And my commitment to others, I feel like I should continue on spreading love and support.
But when you unearth those insecurities, you don't live there. We get rid of them, we deal with them, and we focus on who we are, discovering who we are. I want you to park there because we can park there and just look at how we are unworthy because you are absolutely worthy. Well, I appreciate you guys for sharing and taking the time out to spend this hour with me. I'm extremely humbled for you to select this session. I hope you gained something out of it to go back to implement and to continue the journey for yourselves and those that you work with. So again, thank you very much. And if you want to see the book that I wrote, you can come up and look at it. It is $20, and the student guide is $15, and the teacher's guide is $20. So thank you.